You raggedy bitch. Times two. Find out who dropped that classic line and more on this review of AEW Dynamite's Holiday Bash. What's up, everybody? It's the Quattro, Scootaloo, and we're going to talk about Dynamite, boy. There was some quotables, boy. There was some quotables. It starts off with Ricky Starks. He's in the ring talking about the fact that MJF wouldn't have beat him if he didn't take him to Dick Kick City. Shout out to Brian Zane. And he would be having the title and the Dynamite. What is it? The Dynamite Diamond Ring. And then he gets interrupted by the JAS. The JAS members Jericho, Guevara, and Garcia. And then Jericho offers him to join the JAS. And without saying these words, Starks basically said, fuck you. He said some other things too, but Starks was going in. Starks went in on JAS. He basically told Jericho, he was like, look at you, man. You the man that just what do you say? How you put it? You the man that reinvents himself all the time. Because he was like 6 months ago, you look like
a five-time married, divorced.
No. He said
who got divorced 5 times. Oh, so you got air fryer?
yes. He said 6 months ago you look like an air fryer. Now look at you. Now you look like a dad who's been divorced 5 times. Starks was going in. He was going in. And then he said something about Garcia, and then he was like, Sammy, nobody is even like you, so I ain't gonna even say nothing.
Did he say the J and J stands for jobbers?
Yes, he said the J and J stands for jobbers. And then they got pissed off. Hager jumped them from behind. They all jump in. Action Andretti comes out there, quote unquote, evens the score. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't announce it because I didn't see it. Andretti, Starks versus 2 members of the JAS. We shall see. The Elite Death Triangle, match 5 of their 7-match series. This one was no DQ. Once again, this is just me. I'm sorry. I'm kind of getting tired of these matches. And you know it's gonna go to 7, but I'm getting kind of tired of these matches. Luckily, this one added the no DQ filter on it, so they was able to run a little bit wild, but it was too many spots. Like it was very spot fest. But ultimately, the Elite wins. The Elite wins. Now the score is 3-2. They did announce on commentary that the next match is going to be Falls Count Anywhere, and I don't think it's going to be next week's Dynamite, but the week after. And after the match, they all basically took bell hammers and just beat up the Elite. So, yeah. MJF basically had a promo, and his promo was from after he left the after he hightailed out the arena from Danielson. His promo was basically talking about how he basically had his moment, his first defense. Danielson ruined it. Blah 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 blah. At some point, he gonna come see about it. You know, Danielson gonna get a little bit of straightening. Action Andretti had a promo, and then Daddy Magic and Cool Hand shows up, and then Jericho fireball. So maybe we won't get that tag team match. I said before soon because Jericho's a wizard. Don't forget that. Danielson comes out basically saying, you know, he doesn't know the true state of the BCC, or I guess his membership in a sense, and that the fact that with Regal leaving, blah blah blah, you know, he loved Regal. Words. Ethan Page and Stokely comes out, and Ethan Page was like, wasn't I the runner-up? Well, sorry, Danielson was talking about how he wants a title shot. That's basically what it all led to. Ethan Page comes out with Stokely. Page was like, "What's not the runner-up in the title eliminator tournament? What now the runner-up in the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal? So why is it he get to say he's next in line and he gets it?" Danielson said some shit, and oh yeah, he said something about him being a. He said something about him being a vegetable. Something. Danielson said something back to Page and Stokely, and Stokely looked right at Danielson. "You raggedy bitch. You raggedy." Oh yeah, Danielson was talking about how his head was so shiny that he couldn't see, that he was so blinded by Stokely's head. And Stokely looked right at him. "You raggedy bitch." Times two. He said it twice. We had a hearty. Our laugh was so hard that we didn't realize he said it twice. Because he looked dead ass serious. The fact that he called him a raggedy bitch. Quote of the night. I'm gonna give y'all a second quote in a minute. But yeah, at some point, I guess we're gonna see Ethan Page, Bryan Danielson. Maybe it's a number one contenders match. I don't know, but we shall see. Mox had a promo basically because on Rampage, they're gonna have a trios battle royal where the winner gets $300,000. So I know the BCC is supposed to be in it. The Best Friends supposed to be in it. High Flyer, Top Flight, and AR Fox supposed to be in it. Dark Order supposed to be in it. He even warned that Hangman better not show up. Stuff like that. Sorry, people. Sub no TV. Samoa Joe had a promo where he was basically saying about him being the king of television and that something with Wardlow. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm sorry. I still love you, Samoa Joe. I really do. I just really didn't pay attention. Some point, him and Wardlow gonna fight. King of television. Hook fought Exodus Prime. Hook choked out Exodus Prime. Then there was Big Bill and Moriarty and Stokely back there beating up Jungle Boy and Big Bill choke slam Jungle Boy in the damn dumpster. Just straight BFI the man. And Hook just left the ring kind of looking like, I guess, I don't know. Mox versus Darius Martin. I don't know. Maybe I see matches differently like this because it's one of those situations to where Darius Martin wasn't going to beat Mox. So is it one of them things to where this is trying to showcase Darius Martin in a sense? Because I don't know. Because I'm not necessarily saying it was a glorified squash match, but never did I feel that Darius Martin was going to beat Mox. But like I said, Mox wins. Trying to think, did anything happen after the match other than Mox winning? Because I know Mox came out there with Claudio and Yuta. Darius came out with Dante. And then we get the next chapter of the Book of Hobbs. I'm not saying this is racial. And I don't necessarily want to 100% say this is very stereotypish. But it's kind of one of them things what I've been saying. Are they going to make this translate well into wrestling? Because at least in this case, this can translate more well than the whole Kiana James being a businesswoman on the NXT side. Because at least if they're going to tell this tragic story of Hobbs and all the things he'd been through, because he was talking about how he got shot, he got stabbed, he got beat up, he was robbed, and all this was like when he was kid. Like, it was a lot of trauma. Matter of fact, it was a lot of black trauma. And if they don't bring Hobbs in and just absolutely destroy everybody, but the problem is, AEW, don't bring Hobbs in and he just destroys everybody for like 2 months and then he's just back to being Hobbs. This has to be something. But yeah, Book of Hobbs. Um, the Guns, FTR. Um, the Guns finally got their match against FTR. Of course, FTR wasn't coming in 100%. You know, uh, 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 Dax had an ass bruise.
Fighting ass boys.
Now he got it from that
Fighting.
Cash. They was all still beat up from the double dog collar match, but ultimately it led to the ass boys cheating, and they got the dub over FTR. I know, right? Surprising, but yeah. So we'll see where that goes. And then we get an acclaim this from Sanjay Dutt. He did They tweaked the Acclaim's music and Dutt rapped. And even Taz and Excalibur was like, he should stick to his day job. You know, he should go ahead and stick to his day job. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The next segment, we had the intervention face off between Keith Lee and Swerve. It was hosted by Rick Ross. Keith Lee gets in the ring. Rick Ross gets a live mic. Rick Ross looks at Keith Lee. Keith Lee looks at Rick Ross. Rick Ross grabs the mic and says, Keith Lee, you a big motherfucker. Keith Lee couldn't hold his laugh. Second best quote of the night. And everything else came from Starks. Uh Swerve comes out and he's like, I'm getting tired of keep thinking everything is on his time. It's all on my time. You know, not only should you be watching your front, you should be watching your back, blah, blah, blah. Rick Ross was doing Rick Ross things in there. And then Parker Boudreaux, which he was with the Trust Busters. And he starts to beat up Keith Lee. Keith Lee dispatches him. Then Keith was about to go charge up Swerve. Another big, heavily tattooed dude comes. I don't know whomst this individual is. Like when I say he was tatted face, neck, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. All that was tatted. They both beat up Lee. They eventually put him on the steel steps. A cinder block magically materializes from somewhere. And Swerve hit the swerve stunt from the top rope onto the cinder block. And they was calling him his mogul associates. And Rick Ross was just saying a bunch of stuff in the background. So I don't know, was Rick Ross necessarily supposed to be on Swerve's side? Words. But yeah, I ain't pay attention to that. Oh, so there you go. Um, I'm pretty sure there was other little segments here and there because AEW likes to throw in little segments, and then we get to our main event for the AEW Women's Championship. Champion Jamie Hayter versus challenger Hikaru Shida. They had a match. Once again, you know how I like to say it. It didn't feel like a title change. And of course, it wasn't going to be a title change. Ultimately, it did lead up to Hayter hitting her with two of those lariats. Finally gets the 1, 2, 3. They was going in for the beat down to Sheeta. Tony Storm comes out. Tony Storm gets outnumbered. Here comes Saraya. They scatter. Well, first he clotheslined the shit out of Rebel on the ramp, and then the rest of them just scatter. So I don't know if this is going to try to eventually lead to a 6-woman tag. Maybe Saraya and Tony could be tag team partners come January 14th. I don't know. But ultimately, that's how Holiday Bash ends. And of course, Friday on Rampage is Rampage Holiday Bash. So yeah, just remember, you big motherfucker and you raggedy bitch. and a lot of bars Ricky Starks was saying. That was AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. I'm the Quattro, Scooter Lou. Shouts out to Jaeger. Shouts out to Dizzle. Shouts out to Juggs. And until next time, good peoples, tag out.